Is whatever's wrong or whatever's going on with the Mets just a phase, or it is as simple as they're just a bad baseball team? Here's our New York Post sports columnist, Mike Vaccaro, to talk about his recent column on how bad the Mets have been and how bad they are. Mike, thanks for hopping on with us. As a Mets fan, it's been a painful last 2 months. It's even been a painful last 10 games. They dropped 9 out of the last 10. Carlos Mendoza said they're going through a very tough stretch. So I ask you, sir, are you buying it that this is just a run of bad luck and a very tough stretch, or are the Mets just a bad baseball team?
Brandon, we're talking about 52 games now that the Mets are in this funk, and that's almost a third of a season. And that's no longer a small sample size. That's a pretty representative reflection of who the Mets are, and they're 19 and 33 in those games. That's not a good baseball team. Good baseball teams do not have that record over the course of a third of a season. Now, is it irretrievable? It's not, obviously. I mean, there's still plenty of baseball season left. And as you and I sit here, the Mets are still in playoff position. So, yes, this can be rescued. But if that's going to happen, they have to look a lot different than they've looked the last third of the season. And that includes everything. I mean, look, on games when they get good pitching, they can't hit. Games when they mash the ball, they can't pitch. And the bullpen, which is supposed to be the real strength of the team now, especially after the deadline, has been shaky. So that's a pretty bad combination for any kind of sustained success. Do they have it in them? They certainly think so, but they have to prove it now. It's not just about saying we're a good team and we're better than we've been playing. You have to prove that at some point, and it's on the Mets now to prove it.
Yeah, Bill Parcells used to say, "You are what your record says you
Yep.
are." And like you said, in the last 52 games, the Mets' record has been absolutely atrocious and they've underachieved. So they are what they are. A lot of people online are upset with David Stearns for not going after starting pitching at the deadline. So, how bad has that come back and haunted this team?
Oh, it couldn't have been worse. I mean, look, they got a nice start out of Senga on Thursday night, but until then, it's been one calamity after another with the starting staff, which was a question mark coming in, got banged up, did admirable work for the first 2 months of the season, the first 2.5 months of the season, really. But look, it was pretty clear beginning in the middle of June that this was a staff that was running out of gas, that was asking guys to do stuff that they weren't previously asked to do, in terms of like Clay Holmes having to pitch more often than he has before. And they just haven't performed. And that was obvious before the trading deadline when there were some intriguing names available, and David Stern chose to keep it in house. So far, that's a decision that's bitten him, and we'll see how badly that haunts the team over the course of the next 6 weeks. But right now, that's really been their bugaboo because I mean, if you keep asking your bullpen day after day after day to give you 5, 6 innings, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you, and it's bitten them the last couple of weeks.
All right, last 6.5 weeks left in the season, around 52 games left, and they've got a smidge of a lead for the final wild card spot in the NL. Who has a better shot of dragging themselves into the postseason, Mike? The Yankees or the Mets, and why?
Well, the Mets have the better odds because they're really only fighting against one team. Right now, the Reds are the only team that seems capable of sustaining any kind of good play, and nobody else in the National League has really kind of risen up to try and seize that third wild card away. In the American League, you have kind of a little bit thicker pile of teams. I just think the Yankees' schedule down the stretch, and look, it gets to be dangerous when you start identifying bad teams, especially when the Yankees, like the Mets, have been playing so poorly and could self-identify as a very bad team. But that schedule certainly seems to favor a nice late season push that would at least get them in the playoffs. I think the Mets are going to have a little bit more of a struggle day to day to be able to get in. I still believe both teams are going to get in, but right now the Mets have to play a lot better baseball than they've shown, as do the Yankees.
But what if both teams don't get in, though, Mike? Like, how big of a collapse and disappointment would that be, not only for both of these teams that had so much hype surrounding them coming into the season, but just for the city as well? You know New York.
Well, for one thing, we have to rely on football, and good luck with that to keep to occupy our attention in October. But kidding aside, look, I mean, we've never had a year where both teams have been so good and then so poor. It's unique. I mean, they've shared the city since 1962. We've never had a season like this with both teams having seasons almost identical to each other like this. Look, 2 years ago they missed the playoffs and life went on. They both just had really bad, miserable seasons, though. It wasn't like there was a collapse you could identify. This year is different. This year, look on 2 days before Flag Day, both teams looked like they were going to run away with their divisions, and we were really talking seriously about the possibility of a 25th anniversary renewal of the Subway Series in October. And now those teams that certainly sounds like a pipe dream, and you just wonder if both these teams can right their ships before it gets too far away from them.
Always great talking with you, Mike. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Good talking to you, Brandon, always.